one of the things that came to mind, have you seen, I'm sure you have you seen the Tony Robbins, it was on Netflix streaming. I think it was where they kind of deconstructed one of his live events. It was like a documentary. There's a piece of that where it shows his pre-go out on stage routine. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. He's got like the little mini trampoline.
Yep.
And he's got, motion creates emotion. That's a Tony saying. And so he's jumping on the trampoline. He's like, it looks like he's going out to play a sporting event,
right.
the pregame ritual. And to your point on kind of this, it's a habit that even the very best, most intentional financial advisors I've ever worked with it's repetition creates like these just, you get desensitized to the importance of a meeting. I kind of compare it to the emergency room doctor where somebody comes in with their arm cut off, gushing blood, and it's like, oh, another day in the emergency room, no big deal. Not so much to the person with their arm, cut off. And I think what you're hitting on is something that's like, it deserves a pre-game, a pre-appointment ritual to where you as a financial advisor take a second, whatever that is, take a deep breath, think about the importance of the work you're about to do, because every individual you sit down with, you're talking about decades of work to create this nest egg, whether it's hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars that they poured their entire working years, like raising kids, you late at the office, get up early, run kids to practice. There's a whole lifetime behind that little nest egg of money. And if you sit in an appointment and you don't realize that, you've completely missed so much of what it is to be a great financial advisor.
Totally.
What you're saying right there is just like, it's hitting so dead on with me, because it's like, dude, you got to go so deep and like show up and as a partner in this deal, because that's what great financial advisors are.
Yeah, and it's like it is easy to become desensitized to it, because you ask most advisors, they've done hundreds, if not thousands, of client discovery meetings, and it's easy to just be like, oh, okay, check, next client discovery meeting, next client discovery meeting. And so we actually have this kind of pregame ritual that we talk about in our enrollment narrative, which is it's another word for sales training, but it's way more than sales training, but we call it the enrollment narrative, and we teach advisors how to actually show up and what to say in the first meeting, the second meeting, the third meeting. And the most important part of the enrollment narrative is step one, which is called the mindset for enrollment. It's everything you do from a mindset perspective before you even walk into the room. And we've had advisors say, I didn't apply anything yet from the enrollment narrative other than step one, because I didn't have time. And just that alone, I'm literally walking into the room as a different person with a different presence and a different energy, and it conveys, and I'm having the most effective, client discovery meetings I've ever had. And it's just a 3-step, and we call it kind of a grounding exercise, that before you walk into that conference room, before you jump on Zoom, it's the very first thing you say is, I'm a leader here to provide leadership. Like, you've got to snap yourself out of that frame of, I'm an advisor here to give advice and talk about the markets and talk about planning. It's like, no, it's like, do not be that person. There will be nothing distinguishable about you. Like, you'll just walk in sending a clear message right off the get-go that, hey, by the way, I'm just the exact same as every experience you've ever had. And it doesn't mean you still can't get them as a client, but if you just pause and say, okay, I'm a leader here to provide leadership. The second thing we have them say is, I have arrived. And that doesn't mean like I'm this perfected body of work and I have nothing left to improve on. It's like, I've arrived and I have a long ways to go. But what it's saying is, I have arrived at this place in my life and my career, and I've put in the work and made the sacrifices to where I know that I can make a profound difference for people. And it's not about me. I just know I can. I know that I can make a profound difference for people that's meaningful. And then the third one, and most importantly to me, is the third thing you say to yourself is, I have no place to get in this meeting other than to serve this person. Because what's so limiting is, a lot of times we go into a client discovery meeting, we have a place to get, whether we even are conscious of it or not. And the place to get is, I got to get them as a client. I got to get the second meeting. And that's not bad, especially if you believe in what you do. It's just limiting, because the only thing you're going to hear them say is what you need to hear them say to get them as a client. The only questions you're going to be inspired to ask are the questions you need to ask to get them as a client, right? But if it's like, well, I don't know if they're going to be a client. How could I know if they're going to be a client or not? I've not even met them. So why would I be limited by that? But if I go in like, hey, I have no place to get other than to serve this person, I'm free in that meeting. Like, I can ask any question. I can go anywhere with them. And by having no place to get, you can go anywhere. That's what's so beautiful about it. And when I started really practicing this myself in my own enrollment, quote unquote, sales calls, when I would be like, okay, I'm a leader here to provide leadership. I know that I've arrived and I can make a difference for this person. And I have no place to get other than to serve them, whether we work together or not. I never started getting places with people faster by having no place to get. But it is this like kind of wake up, like, you know, some advisors have been doing what they're doing a long time. Like they've done thousands of client discovery meetings. They've become very desensitized to it, and they've kind of lost, like you said, the power of like what's actually happening in that room is really, really like powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Just to get awake to that a little bit, because your presence matters. How you walk into the room and the way you see yourself and your energy matters way more than you realize before you've ever even opened your mouth. So if you walk in with the presence of a leader there to serve, and then you have language that matches it, well, yeah, it's like almost unfair. You're like a force of nature.
And you're actually, I've seen a specifically younger advisors, they put this pressure on themselves, and it's the Zig Ziglar saying, help enough other people get what they want and you'll get what you want in life. And the moment you take the pressure off and like, hey, I'm just here to serve and let this conversation go where it goes, what I've seen is it's counterintuitive in our space. It's the young advisor swinging and missing because they just seem desperate, right? And not always just young advisors. These can be seasoned advisors too that are maybe on a rough patch. But the moment these advisors get to a certain level of success where they don't actually have to take the client on sitting across the desk away from them, the moment that pressure's gone, then everybody comes on. And it's like so counterintuitive because it should work the other way around. But everything you just shared there is like how to naturally create that environment before you even walk in the room. So I love that.